Angela Kelly is the first ever in-house designer in British royal history and styles the Queen. Kelly writes that when she buys fabric to design dresses, "I always peep into the bargain basket. The Queen loves a bargain, and sometimes I luck out."
At 67 years old, Angela Kelly did something unprecedented in the history of the British monarchy. She broke decades of royal silence to reveal what no outsider had ever been permitted to see: the intimate private world of Queen Elizabeth II. As the Queen's personal dresser and closest confidant for more than 20 years, Angela witnessed moments behind palace walls that shaped history, moments that were tender, unexpected, and profoundly human. What did Queen Elizabeth truly feel when the eyes of the world were fixed upon her? How did she endure the crushing weight of solitude during her darkest hours? How did a woman born into unimaginable privilege connect with someone from the opposite end of society? Angela's revelations peel back centuries of royal protocol to show us the real woman behind the crown, not the distant monarch of state portraits, but Elizabeth the person. This is the story the royal family never wanted to tell, a story of unlikely friendship, unwavering loyalty, and the courage to share truth. It's about two women from vastly different worlds who found common ground in laughter.
Personal wardrobe advisor Angela Kelly in 1994, the Queen developed a signature look in recent decades.
Trust and mutual respect. Leave a comment with your thoughts and stay tuned as we explore the extraordinary bond between a Liverpool girl and a queen, a relationship that would ultimately change how the world saw one of history's most iconic figures. From Liverpool to the palace, an unlikely beginning. Angela Kelly was not born into privilege, but rose from humble beginnings through talent and dedication. Born in Liverpool in 1957 to a crane operator and a nurse, she grew up in a working-class council house where every penny mattered. She carried her strong Scouse accent throughout her life, a constant reminder of her roots, even when walking through Buckingham Palace. Her path to royalty began modestly. Before becoming a trusted designer, Angela first entered the palace as a housekeeper, working quietly behind the scenes. A turning point came in 1992 while working at the British Embassy in Berlin. During a visit from Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Angela casually mentioned she planned to return to the UK. This simple, genuine conversation unexpectedly led to a royal offer months later. She was hired in 1993 as one of the Queen's dressers. Angela quickly stood out not just for her skill, but for her discretion, warmth, and unshakable loyalty. Within 3 years, she was promoted to senior dresser, filling the role previously held by Bobo MacDonald, the Queen's longtime companion. Rather than imitate her predecessor, Angela brought authenticity, humor, and attention to even the smallest details of the Queen's needs and preferences. Over time, she became one of the Queen's most trusted confidants, a rare privilege in the world of strict protocol and rigid hierarchy. The Queen valued her insight so much that she invited Angela to live permanently at the palace. Their bond was built on honesty, quiet support, and shared moments of laughter away from public view. Eventually appointed personal advisor and manager to the Queen's jewels, insignia, and wardrobe, Angela's role extended far beyond clothing. She handled historic jewelry, researched cultural customs for state visits, and ensured every outfit carried meaning. From the symbolism in a brooch to the choice of fabric, her work went far deeper than style. It was communication. Angela earned her place beside the Queen not through status, but through unwavering loyalty, precision, and character. Her story proves that true connection transcends class and that quiet dedication can open the doors of history. The art of dressing a queen, strategy in every stitch. To the public, Queen Elizabeth II always appeared flawless, graceful in pastel coats, radiant under glittering chandeliers, and instantly recognizable in her vibrant hats. Her style seemed effortless, But behind every carefully curated outfit stood Angela Kelly, the Queen's trusted dresser and confidant, who orchestrated each ensemble with meticulous care to convey subtle, powerful messages without a single word being spoken. Angela's work was never about following fashion trends or chasing magazine-worthy looks. Each outfit she designed carried deep purpose, reflecting heritage, national identity, diplomacy, and the Queen's own sense of dignity. Planning for state visits or formal occasions often began months, sometimes a full year in advance. Fabrics were chosen not just for beauty, but for cultural respect.
This outfit was designed by Angela Kelly, who is the Queen's chief advisor, personal assistant, head of wardrobe.
Practicality and comfort, as well as the symbolic weight each piece might carry. The Queen's famously bold and bright colors were a deliberate choice, ensuring she could be easily seen by crowds and cameras worldwide, turning style into a tool for visibility and engagement. Angela frequently worked with fabrics that were decades old, some even dating back to 1961. Queen Elizabeth valued longevity and detested waste. If a material was beautiful and durable, it was meant to be reused. Angela's skill lay in blending history with modern elegance, transforming old fabrics into fresh, contemporary ensembles that honored the past while serving the present. She was careful to respect the craftsmanship of earlier generations while subtly updating looks to reflect evolving times. Her dedication went far beyond aesthetics. The Queen often stood for hours during ceremonies and public appearances, which could easily result in blisters and discomfort. Angela quietly tested new shoes herself, walking the palace corridors repeatedly to soften the leather before the Queen ever wore them. This unspoken act of loyalty reflected her extraordinary devotion and understanding of the demands placed upon Elizabeth, ensuring comfort without compromising grace. Angela's workspace within the palace was a model of precision, resembling a high-end archive. Every garment was catalogued with notes, fabric samples, photographs, and detailed records. Nothing was left to chance. The Queen never repeated a look by accident, and garments were carefully updated rather than discarded, reflecting the continuity and adaptability of Elizabeth's reign. When it came to accessories, Angela offered suggestions, providing expertise without imposing her choices. Every final decision was a collaborative act built on mutual trust. She was not merely a designer executing orders, she was the guardian of the Queen's public image, a creative advisor who anticipated needs, interpreted symbolism, and ensured that every appearance conveyed the right message. Few people realized the immense preparation, research, and quiet effort behind Elizabeth II's timeless elegance. Every shade of gloves, every brooch selected, every fold of a silk scarf was intentional. From public ceremonies to state visits, nothing was accidental. Angela Kelly's unwavering commitment, discretion, and attention to detail allowed the Queen to present herself flawlessly while maintaining dignity, symbolism, and authenticity in every moment. Her work was a testament not only to skill and artistry, but to the profound trust and understanding that defined their remarkable partnership. Olympic majesty, where tradition meets laughter. Angela Kelly was not simply the woman behind the wardrobe. She was the silent architect of some of history's most memorable royal moments. And one of those unforgettable moments had absolutely nothing to do with pearls, gowns, or brooches. Instead, it involved helicopters, parachuting, James Bond, and a stadium filled with billions of astonished faces watching around the world. The entire planet tuned in to watch the opening ceremony of the 2012 London Olympics.
The global event gets underway tonight here in London with the opening ceremony, and the whole world is watching.
Billions of eyes anticipated a spectacular showcase of British cultural grandeur. Perhaps some witty theatrics, a performance by Paul McCartney, a celebration of Shakespeare, or a tribute to the nation's rich history. But absolutely no one, not a single person anywhere, expected Queen Elizabeth II herself to appear in a dramatic film sequence, calmly greeting James Bond at Buckingham Palace as if this were perfectly normal. The scene began like any classic Bond thriller, with Daniel Craig striding confidently through the gilded corridors of the palace in his impeccable suit. Then the camera cut to reveal the Queen sitting at her desk, working on official papers. She turned calmly, completely unfazed, and delivered the line that would echo around the world. "Good evening, Mr. Bond." In that single instant, the monarch became an international movie star. The carefully crafted film sequence then grew even bolder and more audacious. Bond and the Queen were shown boarding a helicopter together, flying dramatically across London's iconic skyline, and then, incredibly, parachuting into Olympic Stadium itself. Of course, a stunt double performed the actual airborne leap, but the implication was crystal clear and utterly delightful. Moments later, when Queen Elizabeth appeared in person in the royal box wearing the exact same outfit from the film, the stadium crowd absolutely erupted in surprise and joy. It wasn't simply humorous entertainment, it was genuinely historic. The performance revealed a playful, thoroughly modern side of the Queen that shattered decades of austere public perception. And behind that unforgettable, game-changing moment was a trusted figure who understood the Queen better than almost anyone, Angela Kelly. Angela knew the Queen's mischievous streak intimately. She had witnessed flashes of dry humor in private, caught glimpses of playfulness that rarely surfaced beyond palace walls. When director Danny Boyle and his creative team first suggested the audacious Olympic stunt, most people within the royal household assumed that the Queen would politely but firmly decline. It seemed too irreverent, too undignified, too far outside traditional protocol. Angela thought otherwise. She actively encouraged the idea, recognizing it not as inappropriate or beneath the Queen's dignity, but as a golden opportunity, a surprising, memorable way for Elizabeth to connect authentically with younger generations who might view the monarchy as outdated or irrelevant. Angela's subtle but crucial encouragement allowed the Queen to break free from suffocating tradition without ever compromising her fundamental dignity or the respect the office commanded. Angela believed the Queen could pull it off with grace and humor, and she was absolutely right. The moment became one of the most talked-about highlights of the entire Olympics, shared millions of times across social media, and remembered fondly years later. It wasn't the only time Angela witnessed the Queen's wonderful sense of humor shine through. One of her most cherished behind-the-scenes stories involved an April Fool's Day prank that perfectly illustrated their warm relationship. Angela carefully placed a remarkably lifelike stuffed kookaburra, a distinctive bird native to Australia, just outside the Queen's window. She then told Her Majesty with a completely straight face that a rare wild bird had miraculously landed there, perhaps summoned by the mystical power of the Commonwealth itself. The Queen examined the obviously fake toy with exaggerated solemn curiosity, playing along beautifully, before dryly remarking, "You're joking." Then she laughed heartily, genuinely amused by the silly prank. That small, private moment revealed everything about their unique relationship. Angela was not merely a highly skilled employee carrying out professional duties. She was someone genuinely welcomed into the Queen's private world of jokes, spontaneous laughter, deep trust, and authentic loyalty. Very few people ever dared to tease the monarch. Angela not only could, but did so regularly, always with affection and respect. In a palace absolutely bound by rigid rules, complex hierarchies, and centuries of formal tradition, Angela offered something increasingly rare and precious: comfort, humanity, and genuine friendship. She didn't only dress the Queen in beautiful clothes, she humanized her, especially during high-pressure moments when every camera lens in the world was fixed intensely upon her. Angela would stand just beyond the camera's reach, making absolutely sure that earrings matched the gown perfectly. Shoes had been properly softened for all-day comfort, and hats sat at exactly the right angle. She often eased tension with a perfectly timed joke, or reassuring word just before Elizabeth stepped into the blinding blaze of flashbulbs and the weight of global expectations. The public saw only elegance, poise, and majesty. They didn't see the quiet friend smoothing a coat collar, whispering gentle reassurance, and then stepping gracefully back into the shadows where she belonged. Preserving heritage, the christening gown, and tea-stained lace. In fashion, recreating or copying a dress may seem like routine work, something any skilled tailor could manage with the right patterns and materials. But when the garment in question has been worn by members of the royal family since Queen Victoria's era, spanning nearly 2 centuries of history, it becomes far more than fashion. It becomes sacred work, a responsibility to preserve tangible family history and national heritage. In 2004, Queen Elizabeth quietly entrusted Angela Kelly with an extraordinarily delicate task: restoring the historic royal christening gown. Originally created in 1841 for Queen Victoria's eldest daughter, the gown had become a cherished symbol of tradition. Over the following 163 years, it had been worn by more than 60 royal babies, including the Queen's own children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren.
2 gowns in 178 years is remarkable. The original Huntington christening gown was commissioned by Queen Victoria for her daughter Victoria.
Each christening added another thread to the gown's remarkable story, making it not just a garment, but a living connection across generations. By the early 2000s, however, the gown's Spitalfields silk and intricate Honiton lace had grown heartbreakingly fragile. The fabric was too delicate to touch without risk of damage, let alone to dress a newborn. The Queen wanted more than a mere replica. She sought a gown that preserved the spirit, history, and emotional weight of the original. It had to honor tradition while remaining wearable for a new generation, balancing technical precision with deep emotional sensitivity. Angela immediately understood the magnitude of the task. Having worked closely with the Queen for over a decade, she knew how deeply personal this gown was. It was not merely clothing, nor just a historical artifact. It was a royal time capsule, connecting the present directly to the past through shared ritual and family continuity. Every stitch, every fold, and every seam had to match the original as closely as possible. After extensive research and consultation with textile experts, Angela sourced exceptional lace from Italy, renowned for its exquisite craftsmanship. But a new problem arose. The lace, though flawless, looked far too bright and modern. Without the soft golden patina of age, the gown risked appearing like a costume rather than a living piece of history. Demonstrating her signature creativity and practical ingenuity, Angela turned to an everyday solution: Yorkshire tea. By carefully soaking the new Italian lace in brewed tea, she achieved the perfect aged tone: subtle, warm, and historically authentic. After months of meticulous work, the restored gown was finally complete. Its delicate lace and silk reflected nearly 2 centuries of continuity, emotion, and family heritage. The first royal baby to wear it was James, Viscount Severn, in 2008, in a quiet yet deeply symbolic ceremony that bridged past and present. Since then, the gown has been used for the christenings of Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and Archie Harrison, carrying forward its legacy with each new generation. Angela's careful, creative, and deeply respectful work ensured that this historic tradition could continue without compromise. The gown is more than just fabric. It is a living testament to nearly 2 centuries of royal history, family continuity, and the extraordinary devotion of the Queen's trusted dresser. Through her skill, patience, and understanding, Angela Kelly preserved not only the physical gown, but also the emotional weight, meaning, and legacy that it represents for generations of the royal family. The pandemic bubble, sacrifice, and devotion. When the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the world in early 2020, life, as everyone knew it, changed overnight. Even within the ancient solid walls of Windsor Castle, everything transformed dramatically. The Grand Palace fell eerily silent. Public ceremonies and events vanished from the calendar completely. Tours were cancelled indefinitely. The usual magnificent grandeur of royal life was stripped away, leaving something far simpler and more isolated. A queen living in near-complete seclusion, separated from family, public, and normal routine. And through all of this unprecedented upheaval, there was Angela Kelly. Angela, who had spent years preparing the Queen for glittering state banquets, diplomatic receptions, and ceremonial occasions, suddenly found her role transformed into something far more intimate and personal. She became part of what the palace staff nicknamed HMS Bubble, a carefully selected group of approximately 20 completely trusted staff members who voluntarily isolated alongside Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip at Windsor Castle. The name might have sounded playful or light-hearted, but the reality was anything but easy or simple. These devoted staff members could not leave the castle grounds for any reason. They could not visit or even see their own families, no matter how much they missed them. They gave up months, many long, uncertain months, of their personal lives, their freedom, and their normal routines to protect the Queen during an extremely vulnerable time. Angela was among this dedicated group, willingly sacrificing more than just weekends or holidays. She gave up nearly everything to ensure the safety and well-being of the woman she had served and genuinely admired for decades. Inside the protective bubble, Angela's role naturally expanded far beyond her official job title and responsibilities. She became housekeeper, daily companion, and even impromptu hairstylist when professional help wasn't available. With no additional staff permitted inside for safety reasons, she carefully styled the Queen's signature white curls herself before important video calls and official photographs that would be seen by millions. She approached this task with the same meticulous precision she had always brought to selecting evening gowns, understanding that maintaining the Queen's appearance helped maintain normalcy and dignity during chaos. Meals became simpler and less formal. Days grew quieter and stretched longer. The Grand Palace halls, once constantly alive with bustling servants, clicking heels on polished marble, and the efficient hum of royal business, now echoed with profound silence. Yet within that unusual stillness, something beautiful emerged. Angela and the Queen forged an even deeper bond than before. They shared countless afternoon teas, sometimes in quiet, comfortable reflection, sometimes filled with shared laughter over small absurdities of isolation. Then tragedy struck. In April 2021, the Queen lost her beloved husband of more than 70 years.
The Queen has announced the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness, the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.
Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. After 7 decades of marriage, companionship, partnership, and shared duty, Elizabeth was suddenly alone. The loss was devastating, made even harder by pandemic restrictions that limited how she could grieve. Angela was there by her side throughout, becoming a quiet pillar of emotional support, helping the Queen navigate overwhelming grief while the entire world watched from a respectful distance. No cameras were allowed to capture those intensely private moments of sorrow, but their emotional weight lingered heavily in every careful step the Queen took in the days and weeks that followed. When Elizabeth prepared for Philip's funeral, that heartbreaking image of her sitting completely alone in the chapel, masked and socially distanced due to pandemic rules, it was Angela who helped behind the scenes. Angela who ensured the Queen was dressed appropriately, who offered quiet comfort, who simply stood nearby in case she was needed. When the protective bubble finally dissolved and the world slowly, cautiously began reopening to something resembling normal life, Angela made a decision that absolutely no royal aide had ever dared to make in the monarchy's long history. She decided to write about her experiences, not to spread rumors or reveal scandals, but to share her truth, her personal perspective on the years she had spent alongside Queen Elizabeth II, told honestly through her own eyes and heart. Breaking Silence, the historic memoir. Angela's memoir, The Other Side of the Coin, became a landmark moment in royal history by offering a deeply personal and honest glimpse into Queen Elizabeth II's private life. Rather than revealing scandal or controversial secrets, it shared rare moments of humanity, what it felt like to prepare the Queen's attire before grand events, to exchange light-hearted laughter during breakfast, and to sit in quiet solidarity during the lockdown months. Having worked closely with the Queen for more than 20 years, Angela was not just a dresser, she was a trusted companion who understood Elizabeth's moods, routines, and personal preferences. What made the memoir truly historic was the Queen's remarkable decision to grant Angela official permission to write about their relationship, not after retirement or her passing, but while she was still alive and reigning. This extraordinary gesture broke tradition and highlighted a deep bond built on mutual trust. The world responded with admiration, celebrating the memoir for its warmth and authenticity. It transformed public perception of the Queen, showing not just the monarch, but the woman behind the crown, someone with relatable emotions, a sense of humor, and unique habits. Though some insiders criticized the move, Angela wasn't seeking fame. She was telling her truth with dignity and with the Queen's blessing, making the memoir both powerful and groundbreaking. Angela Kelly's story is a remarkable reminder that true loyalty, trust, and friendship can transcend class, protocol, and centuries of tradition. She didn't just dress a queen, she understood her as a person, sharing quiet moments, laughter, and companionship that few others ever witnessed. Their bond shows us the profound impact of small, consistent acts of care and understanding, and how authentic connection can flourish even in the most unlikely places. After seeing the human side of Queen Elizabeth II, how has your perception of her changed? Did you ever imagine the private humor, the personal quirks, and the genuine friendship behind the public image of the monarch? What lessons about loyalty, trust, and compassion can we take from Angela's decades-long dedication? If this story moved or inspired you, like this video, share it with others, and leave a comment to tell us your thoughts. Let's celebrate these extraordinary women and the quiet acts of devotion that make history truly human.